Approximately 3 weeks ago, the humans found out that their supposed new friends were now true enemies and decided they needed to mobilize the fleet. However, this would take time to gather all the battle groups together as a unified front to fight whatever might be coming through towards their dead zone/human space. It was not that long before they found out that the enemy had decided they would make a preemptive strike. One of the outer colonies, a brand new colony that had only been formed less than 4 months prior, had been attacked and essentially been wiped clean. Any remnants there would have to be found and saved. At that point, at least one of the battle groups, the 14th battle group, was almost completely composed and on its way back to link up with the main fleet when they found a second colony was under attack. The patrol ships, their only defense, as the colony was only approximately 2 years old, only had a few patrol ships to protect it, and they blast out a mayday as soon as the enemy fleet arrived. They sent out as much information as possible, but they knew, everyone knew, it was going to be a losing battle. But we're humans. We take out as many of them as we can. And eventually the patrol ships were left to either crash on the planet or burn up in atmosphere. The video that came back from the aliens as a warning that they told us we should surrender to them or we would face the fate. Well, you don't say that while killing a room full of women and children, you son of a bitch. The anger within the 14th battle group was palpable, and immediately they changed course. The commander immediately told everybody to go to general quarters, as they would engage the enemy as soon as they could jump in. Unfortunately, it would be several hours before they could get there. As good as the tech was, it still had its limits. Upon jumping in, the fleet came out just around the planet's southern pole. This was normal for human technology because going in where the poles are makes it easy for the jump engines to actually make it within the planet's orbit. Anywhere else in the gravity field is just too strong and will pull any large ship directly out of space and directly towards the gravity field that the planet is creating. Just as they came out, they realized the enemy was there. However, the enemy wasn't firing. A quick scan of the surrounding area, the planet's surface, came out that there was no human ships left in orbit, and some of the cities had been completely annihilated. Nothing left. However, possible life signs were found. Hearing this, the order was given that they immediately needed to get the recovery vessels/medical ships along with several corvettes over to the planet. Immediately, the corvettes started dropping their drop pods with soldiers inside, and the medical ships broke free as well, trying to make to the closest pockets of human settlements as possible. They, however, did not make it. Though they were clearly marked with the red cross, the aliens turned their guns and fired on those ships. Not only did every medical ship get sunk, i.e. sent down to the planet in a hunk of flaming metal, but at least one of the corvettes was not able to break free in time and was forced to abandon ship, launching its pods toward the surface. The humans might have been mad before, but now they were royally pissed. The commanders barely had time to give the order, all guns, fire at will, before every single turret traversed and began launching every type of weapon they had. First it was railgun rounds, and right beside that, torpedoes were fired. Obviously, the railguns are a hell of a lot faster than torpedoes, but it didn't matter. They were going to bring hell upon these fucking Xenos. The commander of the flagship of the battle group, the Golden Dragon, was ordered to traverse and bring up the main gun. This main gun was a gigantic particle laser, and it would fire a energy blast for approximately 41 seconds before having to be shut down, simply due to heat and nothing else. It was used exactly the way it was designed, turned on and strafed right across the entire enemy's battle line. Anything within 1.2 million kilometers was sliced clean in half by that beam. Even if it was just touched, it would flicker any shielding they had and immediately start melting the armor clean off. Behind that was again all the weapons heading their way, and it wasn't long before they could see recovery craft attempting to make their way to the surface. But humans, they were done with these aliens. A simple order was sent down to the forces on the ground. 3 words that they have heard before: kill them all. With this, the surface of the planet became a complete hellscape for any type of alien that showed up. They grabbed them by the neck and snapped them. A few of the soldiers, the Terran drop soldiers, would pick up the Xenos and actually rip them in half with their power armor. Anyone on the ground who was still alive came out of their holes they were hiding in, grabbed any weapon they could, and started beating wholesale Xeno ass. Up above, that's when the ships realized they were totally screwed and tried to run. They got far enough away from the gravity well as the humans tried to give chase. They locked on what direction the Xenos were jumping and watched as they blinked out. Everyone stopped for a moment and waited for the commander to give any type of order. Were they going to wait? The sheer rage in his eyes should have been enough. But he gave another order. Follow them! And the main ship, the Golden Dragon, headed straight out of the gravity well to try and chase the Xenos down. And jump after jump, they would show up, and the Xenos would be just out of effective weapons range for the railguns, since they would be able to dodge the railgun rounds now that they knew what they were facing. They would also be able to jump before the torpedoes were able to reach them. This didn't stop the humans from firing, but they would just have to chase them more and more. We are persistence hunters, after all, he said, as they jumped again and again. Even as their own jump engines began to overheat, it didn't matter. When humans want blood, they're going to get it. They could see that the alien vessels were starting to overheat. Hell, half of them had started to glow, and others had actually exploded from trying to get away. They caught that message that the Xenos sent. It put a smile on everyone's face as they realized the Xeno fleet couldn't jump anymore. They realized this as the largest ships from the Xeno fleet were simply floating in space, the engines seemingly going dead as they couldn't push any harder. The humans increased their speed as they received that final message, a plea for help and a warning to their own kin. As fate would have it, the Xenos ended up at the same planet they had glassed and cleared of humankind. Seeing this, the last of the human battle group gave no quarter, gave no mercy, and gave him a good old human fuck you as they blasted every single Xenoship apart. With the last one just a hulk in space, the engines were allowed to cool down, which would take several days as hard as they pushed them. But every single human breathed a sigh of relief and prayed for those who were lost. It would be a long time before they were able to get going again. The commander of the battle group tried to send as many ships back to help with recovery operations at all possible, but all the ships that had jumped were reaching their limit and either had to cool down or risk exploding on the way back. They didn't like waiting, but at least as they watched the burning hulks of the Xeno fleet burn into the atmosphere of the colony they first destroyed, they could take a little bit of solace knowing that they had sent a message, and the message was simple: get off my lawn.